Welcome back to Mountain Ash Joinery. I'm going to be showing you today a few things. First off, I'm going to be showing you the program that I've used to do my line drawings for my development of my furniture. The program that I use is called Inkscape. It's a vector graphic program. It's free. It's open source. It's really easy to use. There's a great community. I even did my logo using it. And I'm going to go over some of the changes to the design since I first started. And I'm going to show you some of the things that have changed. So this is the original design that I did. Again, it's the overall dimensions haven't changed. It's 120 centimeters by 60 centimeters by 42 centimeters. Now that's about 4 feet by 2 feet by 16 inches high. That hasn't changed. Few of the things that have changed, for example, is the taper that I have on the front and the taper that you see on the sides here. I've wanted to make it stronger, so I've removed the taper altogether on the sides, as you see here, and I've added a gusset at the bottom of the shelf. Now, these are laminated timbers, so while it's still going to be very strong because I'm using mountain ash as a primary structure, I didn't want there to be any likelihood of failure because it'll be much thinner here than it was on the original design. Primarily, the changes to the front are the taper is gone from the first part of the frame here. It only is now to the base of the shelf. The other thing that I changed too is originally the face was going to be 10 centimeters. It's now 8. Still, this drawer has a huge amount of room in it. The top and the shelf are still both 26 millimeters, which roughly an inch thick. I treated them with the Cabot's 2-in-1 varnish and stain in the maple color. It's an oil-based stain and varnish. It came out beautifully. Deep, rich colors. Doing a total of 5 coats on it. Sanded between each coat, rolled it. Everything's pocket hole joinery. It really makes a huge difference in the strength. It's also ease of use, and as you saw in the open of this video, I was doing a few of the pieces with it. So let's continue on to the rest of the build, and let's get started. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you some of the way that I laminated the legs. Using the 92 Ultimate Fine Finish Diablo blade, it made quick and really beautiful work of the cuts I had to do. I measured them out to 50 centimeters, and I had to cut a total of 4 cuts. Right after that, it was time for glue up. These were beautiful boards, and they were ready to go after just these cuts. The final cuts I would be doing after glue up to make sure that they were perfect. The glue up was pretty simple. I used Gorilla Glue. It's a great wood glue. I also then used a bit of table salt, as you can see, that I sprinkled on lightly after I spread out the glue. And what that does is that helps hold them together. It gives a little bit of friction to hold them together. Spread the glue out really, really well using a brush. Wash the brush out afterwards. This allowed me to spread it evenly. I put a lot of glue on this because I didn't want any chance of failure. I want them to hold on together. I used a lot of clamps. These F clamps, as they call them here in Australia, are a cheap brand called Craft Right. Honestly, can't fault them. I used a bunch of them on the project. Immediately following that, you can see the result, a bit of glue coming out, but the Gorilla Glue and the table salt held it together beautifully. Beautiful process. Let it dry overnight, and then I ripped them down, and this is what it looked like afterwards. You can see the beautiful grain pattern in there, but the nice thing is it's a beautiful laminate, very well put together, held very, very well together. Almost impossible to tell that they're laminated, especially because they're going to be primed and then painted. Of course, I trimmed the bottom of the legs once it was all ready to go. Now you can see this was a dry run I did. Personally, I think it looks fantastic. Really, really happy with how it's all turning out. The framework of the table is going to be painted, and of course I've got to cut the drawer out yet. At this point, the table was really looking good. Of course, I used the Diablo sand net. Look, it's the best you can get. There are other companies that try to make something similar, but they don't come anywhere close to the quality and capabilities of the sand net. So I also, of course, use my DeWalt brushless random orbital sander. It does a great job. Now, getting ready to do the paint, I went from 80 to 120, 240, and then 400 grit. One thing that you really need to consider when you're sanding is that you don't have to press down hard on your sander. All that does is create pigtails in your sanding, as well as more work that your sander has to do. In other words, your motor is going to be put a lot more strain. So as you see here, I went from, like I said, 80 to 120, and then 400 was my final cut, my final sanding. Now with that, I let the sander do its job. I let the sandpaper do its job, and the end result was an extremely smooth finish, ready to put the primer onto. It's really important that you make sure that you have a good surface for prime and or paint when you're ready to go. All right, so the first primer is down. I think I'm gonna sand it and go and give it another coat. I don't know if you're supposed to, but I think I'm gonna. So legs look good. You see I used screws to keep them off the that's what I used. It's the Bullseye 123 by Zinsser, I think is the way you pronounce it. Yeah, it goes on extremely easily. I used a roller, I've already washed it and letting it dry for the second coat. Pretty happy with how it looks so far. Like I said, I'm going to sand it back with 400 grit. After a second coat of primer, it was time to put the first coat of paint on. Now I use the British H2O enamel in the white. Now I've actually never used British paints before. I've always used Deluxe, Taubmans, but I've never used the British paints. So I'm going to consider this kind of a review. Honestly, I was very happy with it. I don't know about durability. We'll see how that goes. But I was very happy with how it went. I was very happy with how it went on. It spread perfectly. In the conditions I was painting, about 20 to 25 degrees Celsius. So what is that? 67 to about 75 degrees Fahrenheit. It actually went on really well, and it dried very quickly. It really seemed to be very durable, I will say. in transportation, there was an issue. I did get one small chip during transportation on the leg, on one of the legs, which you'll see in the last episode. So it's going to sit overnight at this point, and once it sits overnight, it will be ready for another sanding, and then of course another coat. Setting up the Craig pocket hole jig was dead easy. Just lined up one side, drilled on the hole on the right, and then moved it over, drilled the hole on the left. Done. Perfect depth every time. The depth stop, as you can see on the drill bit. Had the vacuum going, so there was no sawdust anywhere. It was great. Well, actually, you can see just a little bit of sawdust up there, but that's all right. I mean, it actually cleaned up very, very, very easily. Everything was really well done. I highly recommend this system. Very well done. Quick, strong, easy to use. Simple as that. After I did the pocket holes, as you see, beautifully cut, it was time to put it together. As I've said before, I've got mobility issues, so it makes life a little bit difficult for me. So I had to do the best I could to get it to hold together. But as you see, it actually came together fairly easily. The screws were easy to put in. They drove right in using the DeWalt brushless impact driver, and then ready to go. Hey, just before I sign off on this episode, I just wanted to mention the Craig pocket hole jig. It did a great job. It was easy to set up, easy to use, provided a lot of assistance in putting this table together. Very happy with it, extremely happy with it. One thing though is that I found that the screws that actually came with the Craig pocket hole jig that I've got there, in my last project, a couple of them sheared. But not only that, they're also very expensive. So what I did is I went online and I bought these. Now, these are still coarse. I've got some fine ones that I'm ordering as well. Now these are 31 millimeters, which is 1¼ inches. And I got 500 for a bit over $40, about $44, I think it was at the time. So if you think about it, the Craigs are a lot more than that, significantly more than that. But I'm really happy with these. These are the 8 gauge, 31 millimeter, and probably the one I'm going to use more than any other in all the builds that I do. So in saying that, look forward to seeing you on for the next episode. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Very important that you like and subscribe. It's the only way that I'm going to be able to continue making these videos. So have a great one. Going away this weekend with my beautiful bride down to Sydney. Looking forward to that, and looking forward to spending some time with family down there. And I might even be able to do a video. So have a great one, and the next video should be pretty quick getting online rather than the month that this one's taken. So anyway, look forward to seeing you next time. Have a great one.